Hello again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. I hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far and thank you so much for joining me here today. So today we are building in Evergreen Harbor and we are creating a house for a single mum and her 3 children. This house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, also has a section for so your Sims can do some laundry. There's a separate garage space and there is a big back garden filled with really exciting items. So in just a couple of minutes I will be able to talk you through that, but we are currently working on the exterior of the house here, just trying to work out the shape and where I would like this house to sort of sit on the lot. Now I'm just going to put a disclaimer out right now because it took me a little bit of time to kind of figure out what colour scheme I wanted to go for with this house. There's going to be a lot of finagling, particularly with the colour scheme on the exterior. So I would like to first of all apologise for that. And I do end up returning to this exact colour scheme that you can see here with the sort of brown brick from, I believe, City Living, and then the panelling, the green panelling from the Growing Together pack. The reason that I'm mentioning this is because I go through a period of time where I change it to the cream and then I try a blue and then I try a brown, and then I was like, look, this isn't working, so I just returned to this. And I also think it's worth noting that the windows change to my tried and true trusted ones from Get Famous, and I realised after I'd uploaded this build, because I initially wanted to use these windows which are from base game, and then when I did decide to use the ones from Get Famous, I realised that the last 3 builds, including this one, I have used the windows from Get Famous. I want to apologise, but also kind of not at the same time, because I love those windows so much. They're just so unbelievably perfect. I think they're fantastic. I genuinely do, and I'm not going to stop using them. However, I did want to make it clear that I am completely aware of the fact that I have used those windows incredibly recently, and I'm going to make a promise to you now that the next house that I build, whenever that may be, will not be using those windows. I'm gonna really try my best and branch out and use some different windows. I think it's because I'm on a bit of like a realistic build kick, and those windows are just so perfect for builds such as this and for builds that I've done relatively recently. Anyway, so this is where I was trying out the blue. I actually really like the blue, in truth, and I don't know, I don't want to sit here and say I don't know why I didn't go with the blue. I think it's because it's potentially a colour scheme that I've used relatively recently. I don't know. There was just something about it that wasn't really speaking to me. I ended up removing the flower boxes as well and just doing some sort of tweaking here and there. Now this is I'm going to call it a back garden, but it's actually technically not, it's a side yard. But the reason that I put this here is because until the 13th of April, the Sims 4 Backyard Stuff Pack is actually free to download. So I used a lot of these items in this garden so that you guys could sort of see if you don't have the pack. First of all, it's available for free, so I definitely recommend downloading it because you're not paying anything for it anyway. But I actually really like this stuff pack. There's a lot of fun items. They're very colourful and there's lots of gameplay included as well. So there's like a little water slide for the kids to use, and I think adults can actually adult Sims can use it as well. There's like a nice seating table with an umbrella, and it's stunning. And I thought, do you know what? This actually works so well for a house like this, so I thought it was worth mentioning in case you hadn't picked up that stuff pack yet. And it really just allowed me to use some of the items because I don't typically gravitate towards them for my normal builds, but I thought they were worth highlighting because the pack is currently free. I hope that makes sense. And whilst we're on the subject of that as well, I am very, very excited to announce that I am part of the EA Support a Creator program, which means that you can use code RachelPedd on thesims.com or the EA app to directly directly support me and my content at no extra cost to you. Using my code is not expected, but very much appreciated, and I'd like to thank you all for your continued support on this, and thank you so much to EA for sponsoring this portion of my video. So yeah, working on the landscaping here, and you can see it all kind of coming together. I was trying to work out if I wanted to go super colourful with this or a little bit more natural. I think what I ended up deciding on was kind of a mixture of the two. I kind of go natural, but then with pops of this beautiful sort of purple. You can see me going in here and adding that now, and I just thought it complemented the build really, really well. And yes, I'm going to point this out because some of you may have noticed that the side paneling has once again changed colour to this cream colour, and I'm going to be honest, the exterior of this build, the colour scheme wise, not the shape, not the structure, but the colour scheme and the windows, there was just something not sitting right with me. I shared a work in progress screenshot as I usually do on my various social medias, and I'll pop a little thing on the bottom so that you can see I'm just RachelPedd across the board. But I shared it on there, and then I was like, oh yeah, I really like this, and then I came back to it and I thought, no, there's something just not quite sitting right for me with it, and I couldn't. And the worst part is when you can't put your finger on it and you just think, I don't know what's wrong, but there's something wrong. Does anybody else ever have that problem? If they're anything to do with The Sims, like it could be a sim that you're creating, or a house that you're building, or an apartment that you're decorating, or just the way your gameplay is going, and you just think there's something just not right about it. And there was something with this house, honestly, it could be something to do with the fact that the back garden was so colourful, and that was the entire idea with this house, was to make the back garden super colourful, because I wanted to use, as I was explaining just a couple of minutes ago, as many items from the backyard stuff pack as possible so that I could try and just showcase them a little bit more. But yeah, there was just something. Anyway, I'm going to stop harping on about it because I'm boring myself, which probably means I'm boring you. But anyway, you can see that the exterior has come together so nicely. This is pretty much what you're going to be downloading when and if you download this build. And then we're trying to work out window placement, and then I can't remember if I'm sure I decided to do the floor plan kind of at a really weird time, because usually I'd add all my windows and then do the floor plan, which, let me just tell you now, is not the best idea. Do not take my advice because almost always, let me start again. Almost every time you have to move the windows because there's a wall in the way, or the window placement isn't sitting quite right in the room that you've just created. So anyway, I'm pretty sure, I can't even remember when I decided to do the floor plan. This build kind of came together over a series of a few hours, but it was a labour of love, and it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like ages since I started, and I only started this yesterday. Truthfully, I only started this yesterday because I just felt really inspired to do something like this, and when I'm feeling very inspired, I tend to build relatively quickly. I'm not saying I rushed the build, because I think it's quite obvious that that's not what I did. But yeah, I don't know. I like this house, and as I said, I'm definitely into the more realistic houses at the moment. So, and I know a lot of you sort of agreed with that, and you were like, yeah, I love these realistic houses that you're doing at the moment. Keep them coming. And yeah, I'm just loving it. So this is where I changed the windows, and also the front door, because I realized that the front door probably wouldn't go too well with these windows. But yeah, I think these are my favourite windows in the game. Which probably isn't too much of a surprise to anybody, but yeah, these are my favourite windows in the game. I just think they work so, they're so ideal. And I can't remember which apartment I renovated. It's one that I renovated relatively recently, and I think I use these windows as well, because obviously we can free place windows in apartments now, which is just a complete game changer. And I think I use these because they're just so perfect. They really are. Name a more perfect window in the comments down below if you think there's any window that supersedes these. Anyway, this is where we work out the floor plan. Now, I'm going to just put a little disclaimer out here as well, because my floor plans usually aren't the most elegant. I've spoken about this on the channel before, and I have no problem admitting it. They're really not. There's people that create the most perfect floor plans. Mine aren't, and that's okay. It's definitely a weak spot for me. It's something that I'm trying to get better at. But so there's the garage there. But can you see this bump out on the house? I actually ended up, I didn't know what to turn it into. Initially, I wanted to split it so that I had like a downstairs bathroom and then maybe like a storage cupboard or something. But then I thought, no, do you know what? Let's turn it into a bathroom stroke laundry room. And I think that actually works out quite well, but it is a very big space. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we actually move on to that room in particular, but yeah, it's a very big space. But do you know what? I just thought, why not? Why not do it? It kind of seems perfect for the house and the storyline that we were going for. So I thought, it works. It works. And then we are just finalizing the exterior here. Window placement, just trying to perfect some placement of some items that I might have just thrown down. The back garden is looking so colourful and so fun. Your Sims are going to have an absolute blast in that garden and just like, you know, playing together, hosting garden parties or whatever. And then you saw me there again. Look, I'm trying to mess around with the colour scheme again. It just wasn't good. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. It just wasn't sitting right. Anyway, we've moved on to the interior, thank goodness, so I can stop banging on about the exterior of this house. And the interior came together really nicely, really quickly. I knew what kind of wood tones I wanted to use, because sometimes, again, colour schemes are a little bit of a thing for me, but I think I already knew going in what I was aiming for, which made it a little bit easier. So that was really nice. So yeah, here we are. So we have on the ground floor, we have the kitchen, dining room, which is the same room. We have a big spacious living room, and then we have the downstairs laundry / bathroom. So we do begin work on the kitchen. I used to start work on the living room in a house, and recently I think someone may correct me. I've been gravitating more towards starting with the kitchen. I've really been enjoying kitchens lately, and this was absolutely no exception. And I would just like to point out here and now, I did play test this because I was a little bit concerned that your sim would not be able to navigate around where the fridge and the bin is and then where the chair is. So I have play tested this. My sim had 0 issues. They've got a mixer here, there's a dishwasher, a microwave, there's a dining table, and I really love how this came together. It's in keeping with the theme and tone of the house, and it's just, I'm just going to say this as well. These base game counters, when I'm doing my more realistic builds, are my go-to. There's 2 sets from base game that I will typically gravitate towards, and this is one of them. And I just think it's lovely. The warm wood tones that match but don't really match as well. I love this. I love the vibe, and it's just such a nice space. I was initially thinking I could put an archway, you see where the dining room table is, to lead you straight into the living room. But then I figured we'd lose an awful lot of space there, and there really wouldn't be enough room for the dining table. So I decided against that. And then I add these little sticky notes from Parenthood onto the fridge, because it's one of my favourite things to do when I'm cluttering up and sort of decorating and styling my Sims houses. I just love it so much. And again, I spoke about this in my speed build a couple of weeks ago now, when I did like a realistic family home. And I was getting a lot of comments like, how do you get the post-it notes on the fridge? And the best way to explain it is, if you go into debug in Parenthood, they don't actually show, so the tiles are blank. So that's where you know that's where the post-it notes are. And the thing of it is, if you don't know that they're there, you're not going to see them. So if you click on one of them and press the 9 key on your keyboard, if you're on PC, it will actually raise the sticky note up, and then you can just sort of like place it. It doesn't snap into place, unfortunately. You have to sort of like navigate it yourself, it takes a little bit of practice, but once you've got it, you've got it, and then you just place it against it, and then that's that. So I just thought it was worth mentioning again, because I've been getting some comments, I think mostly on Instagram. But yeah, that's how you do that. So the kitchen's done, the hallway's done, and now we've moved onto the living room. So this is a big space. I think looking back, I could have maybe added like another dining area in here, but what I decided to do instead was to make this space like the living space, and then behind that we've got some activities for the kids to get involved with, which I think would be more of like a realistic thing for like a family oriented build. you know, to sort of do that. So that's exactly what I did. It took me a little bit of time to navigate which sort of like items I wanted to use in here, and I knew that I wanted to use this fireplace from Growing Together. I knew that I wanted to use this rug from Growing Together, so everything else just kind of had to fit around those items, which is fine. Sometimes it's good to have your core items there, and then you can just kind of navigate your other bits, you know. So and I'm just going to talk about this because it's the elephant in the room at the moment, because there's going to be somebody somewhere, quite rightly so, screaming at the screen right now saying, Rachel, how are your Sims going to access the downstairs laundry / bathroom? And don't you worry, I do realize this when I move on to that room, and off camera I add a door. So where this chair is here, that's where I add the door. I shimmy some items over and just make room for it, and that's where it goes. So yeah, don't be angry, I'm so sorry, but yeah, the living room is looking so cozy right now, and I use so many items from Growing Together. I spoke a lot when that pack came out because I love doing family oriented builds and family friendly builds. That pack for me, I feel like it was designed for me and my houses. I genuinely do, and there's so many items that I gravitate towards. That rug is one of them. That rug, it holds a special place in my heart. I'm waiting for another rug to be brought out this year that's going to take its place, but I think they're going to struggle because it does have me. It really does. And then I was going to add a chair over here. Okay, so this chair that's currently down is actually from Horse Ranch. I love this chair. And then I was looking and I thought, nope, there's just something, it just doesn't look quite right. There's so many chairs in here. It just looks like it was an afterthought. So anyway, so I think I just end up adding a plant. The one from the Dine Out pack, I think. Yeah, this one, which is a plant that I use a lot in my builds. If I don't use this plant in a build, there's something wrong. Oh, also, I thought it was worth mentioning, I decided as well that this family was going to have a cat, because I don't really do that ever, and I just thought, why not? So it's for a mum, her 3 kids, and a cat. I just thought that was so cute. So there's a scratching post in here, there's a little pet bed over in the corner, and then I do add a little pink cat bowl into the kitchen. But I'm pretty sure I do that off camera. But I didn't want anyone thinking, okay, Rach, so you've put stuff for a cat down. That's great, thank you. But where's the pet bowl? So that does go in the kitchen. And I also added a litter box into the downstairs bathroom / laundry area, which I thought I was going to forget. But then I think because there's so much room in that room, there's so much space in that room, I was like, what else can I put down there? So I just added the little litter tray, which I thought was really nice. So that is the living room pretty much done. And then we move on to the big laundry / the toilet area, whatever you want to call it. So this turns out really nicely. I also added some little cushions onto the sofa and chair because I love doing that. They are the cushions from the Modern Looks kit, and I would like to see the team add more cushions from more packs like this year that we can add, because I'd like to see more, like, I don't want to say realistic ones, but more like normal ones, because they're quite bougie. But if you choose the correct swatch and the correct sort of sofa, they look really good. So anyway, let's talk about this bathroom. I think it works really well. I don't think it's out of the ordinary for the house. I think we utilise the space really well, and yeah, I really liked it. And also, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back here, because I did add in every bedroom a laundry basket, which if I add a washer and dryer in a build, I will 99% of the time I'll forget to do that. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that, because, you know, your Sims need laundry baskets dotted around the house if you have a washer and dryer, because I believe when they get dressed, if you don't have a laundry basket nearby, the clothes just drop on the floor, and then you as the player have to actually move them into the washing machine, which who wants to do that? We do it enough in real life. Do we really want to be doing it in The Sims? No. So it's much easier if the clothes just scoot on over there by themselves. So yes, this is the garage space. I've talked a bit about this on the channel before as well, but for some reason I'm on giving my Sims a garage kick, and you know what? I'm not really bothered about getting cars in The Sims 4, but if it means that we would get a pack that gives us cars and allows us to build functional garage spaces, do you know what? I'm actually all for it. Because when I build garage spaces, I'll just clutter them up with useless stuff. Like there's workout machine in here, there's like a crafting bench, there's a seat, there's a bike, you can do painting in here if you wanted to, there's a foosball table. So I know when I'm saying this, like, oh, it's not a functional space. It is, it's more of like a rec room sort of thing, but it would be really cool to get like a pack that's suitable for garages and cars. I'm just throwing that out there. I know there's a CC pack dedicated to it. From the top of my head, I can't remember the creator, I'm so sorry, but people went nuts for it because they're like, why can't the Sims team just do this? And I completely agree. I am, yes, not bothered about cars, but just give me stuff to clutter up a garage. Anyway, so we moved on to Mum's room here. I'm really surprised actually with this because I've never used this bed from Horse Ranch in this swatch. I've used the bed before, but not in this particular swatch. And do you know what? I actually really like it. None of the wood swatches and tones match in here, but I really like that about this room. And yeah, I just think it looks kind of nice. It's relatively simple compared to the rest of the house, but perhaps Mum has this space as like more of her oasis, you know. The rest of the house is so chaotic, so I think she likes to keep her personal space a little bit more neat, a little bit more tidy, you know. She doesn't mind the kids leaving their toys around because she just doesn't mind at all. But yeah, her space is her space. She also has her own bathroom, which I think is really nice, which means the kids can use the big bathroom on the ground floor, which I think works super well. So the other two bedrooms, when we move on to them, we'll discuss a little bit more in detail, but the next room we work on is for, I envisioned twins. But obviously you can have whatever age groups you like in there as long as they're kids and or teenagers. And then we also have a nursery for an infant. So I thought that was kind of nice. And yeah, I really like it. So just finishing out Mum's room here, adding some little details, a little bit of clutter. And then we move on to my favourite room in the entire house. This bedroom came together so nicely and it has my entire heart. It really does. It's mismatched. It's fun, it's cluttered, I love it so much. I shared, again, a work in progress shot of this room over on X and people loved it, probably as much as I did, and it was so nice to see because I absolutely adore this bedroom, I really do. The only thing that kind of bothers me is that there's only one window in here, but do you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I think if that's just me being extremely picky. So I think the wallpaper that I decided to use is from City Living and it's the one that looks a little bit worn. And I actually ended up feeling really bad. I know this sounds a bit silly. I actually ended up feeling really bad for the Sims that like live in this room because the nursery got a wallpaper that's more pristine. Like this has kind of like damp along the bottom. Can you see? Or like just, I would assume it's damp because this is a wallpaper. And I felt really bad because Mum's room doesn't have it. None of the other rooms have it, but this one does. I don't know why. I just felt kind of bad, but then I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Maybe there is a little bit of damp in this room and maybe Mum needs to get someone in to get rid of the damp. She's fully aware of it, but she's like, look, we can't really do that right now, so we'll do it when we can, kind of thing. It's not dangerous or anything like that. Anyway, I don't know why I'm harping on about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, I envisioned a girl and a boy in here, twins, as I was saying, but again, if you would like to create your own storyline, please feel free, make any changes you would like, but this room came together so nicely. So many items from the high school years pack, like the posters and the LED wall lights came in so handy for this and really pulled the room together. There's a wardrobe in here, there's a desk, there's just clutter. I do add a laundry basket near the door as you walk in. I believe there's a bookshelf so they can do their reading, and it's just, I think I'm just gonna throw this out there, one of my favorite kids rooms I've done to date. Easy. So you'll have to let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. And then we move on to the final room, which is the nursery for the infant. And it's a small room, but you know what? As they grow up, they'll be able to grow into it. You can put a single bed in here. If Mum has another child, you could put more bunk beds in here. Whatever you would like to do. This house, hopefully, will suit and fit all of your needs. And then I went for like a green colour scheme in here, and I used a rug from Cottage Living, which I haven't used in quite some time, and it just, oh my gosh, it was so cute. Here we are. Am I about to pull out? Look how cute that is. So it's like greens and yellows and golds, and it's such a fun space. I really like it, although it was really hard to get screenshots of this room when I was taking them. I was like, oh, this looks so good, but I can't seem to find an angle that sort of does it justice. Does that make sense? Anyway, we are finally at the end of the video. You can breathe a sigh of relief, but thank you so much for sticking with me if you are still here. But yes, if you would like to download this house from the gallery, you can do so right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, will be linked down in the description box below. You can get them for free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today. If you made it to the end of the video, you are the real one. Thank you so much. Leave me some comments down below. Drop me some ideas. I love hearing all of your thoughts. But yes, you all take care, and I will see you again next time. Bye.